Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I want to answer many questions for the student regarding Pesantren Theory. According to my video, maybe 2 days ago. There are many questions, and I want to ask one by one. First, from Endang Hidayat, does pesantren affect to the lives of people living around the pesantren? Yes, of course, because the connections pesantren to the society around is very good. So the people around pesantren was affected by pesantren itself. There are many history that pesantrens start from community. Even pesantrens start from home and using mosque and building pesantren. And who is helper? The community help how to build pesantren itself, building dormitory, building madrasa, and so on and so forth. So it means that the people was affected by pesantren, and pesantren is affected by the people around. And then from Siti Mulyani, why pesantren can be used as a place of learning that survive compared to school? Um, yeah, because pesantren and school is very different. Pesantren is God orientation and school is world orientation. And in the next video, you can see the comparative studies between school and pesantren and madrasah. So you can see why pesantren learns focus on religious studies and why the school focus on world or in general studies or social and science studies. And Nopi Latifa, is it possible that the modernization of pesantren will reduce the characteristic of pesantren itself? Modernization is defined to be a simple one to help people live better. So, if the modernization definition to make people simple is very good for pesantren. So, pesantren must be modernization. Pesantren must be modernized by this strategy. But if modernization definition is how to how to make it instant, how much make it, maybe pesantren will be reduced the characteristic of good pesantren characteristic like barokah or blessing like takdim, yeah, respect to the kiais and so on and so forth. So modernization was defined by technology. Technology will reduce the character of pesantren. Humble will be reduced and so on and so forth. So maybe it depends on modernization definition itself. From Paujiah Elsa, what the tradition of pesantren to do today when facing modernization is more inclined to Western civilization so as not be left behind by increasing advanced science. Yeah, many pesantren actors integrate traditional Islamic values with modern science. As I see in Hausa in Iran, maybe the combination between Islamic values as ethic and science as the content of studies maybe will be adopted to pesantren because pesantren will be good integration between modern and Salafi or traditional. So pesantren will not left behind because the advanced science is very needed, is very needs for nation, is very need for our countries. But the problem is when many pesantrens transform to be modern all atau truly modern pesantren, maybe it's danger because creating kiais or preparing kiais for the future will be lost. So maybe it must be proportional between traditional pesantren and modern pesantren. Traditional pesantren produce kiais, produce Islamic scholar, focus on religious studies. And then the next, why in modern pesantren the yellow book is rarely studied. Winaria Askia, yellow book is authoritative books. Authoritative books. So yellow books or mutakbaro kutubut turas like Sapina. Sapina is very very good for the basic. Batul Mu'in is the middle. Ayana to Tolibin for the advanced. So it is systematic. It is very systematic. So in modern pesantren, they focus on the effective method to reach the content, to reach the Islamic knowledge. So they focus on the content, or they focus on the main content of Islam. So they study Islam by using bahasa Indonesia, and they using Arabic for interaction. So they good communication in Arabic, but they do not learn Islamic deeply like in traditional pesantren. Dila Nurmalasali, what are the advantages and disadvantages of pesantren education? Of course, the advantages, the morality will be cultivated in student, but disadvantages maybe the freedom is controlled by pesantren. So, pesantren is good for Islamic values, for religious studies, because religious studies is very absolute. Yeah, the truth is very absolute, but the freedom of thinking, the critical thinking of school is needed too for the world education. So maybe the good is the integration between modern and traditional, and then modern for the world orientation and traditional for the God orientation. Dinda Nur Ajija saying today, why do most parents prefer their children to go to modern boarding school? Yeah, because maybe many parents ask to build the children to be a good in language, to communicator, the good communicators, maybe effective to learn Islam or Islamic studies. Because in traditional pesantren, they do not need a short time to reach or to earn many knowledge in Islam, because the step is very very hard. Yeah, language itself, picky, basic picky, middle, advanced, and it's very systematic. So maybe modern boarding school is very very effective. uh, Tika Sofia Tika, whether children are better incorporated to traditional or modern boarding school, it depend on, yeah, it depend on. Traditional boarding has the strong function, so you can choose a bit the choice, yeah, you choose choice, which is do you want to be. It depend on the orientation for the future of children. How can Islamic boarding school in Indonesia, Salsa Izza, continue to advance and attract my people, and so that the people around him know that education in Islamic boarding school is highly educated? How can Islamic boarding school in Indonesia continue to advance to attract many people? Yeah, pesantren is not formal, because pesantren is informal. So uh, pesantren has Mahad Ali like in university, but no title, no doctors, no bachelor, no master. But in our life itself, the title is not everything. The title is not everything. Even in many cases, the money or the financial impact is very bigger. Yeah, is very bigger than school outcomers. So bachelor is smaller than ustad from pesantren. Yeah, so it depends on our society our society policy. Asli Rizky, ya, why is the modern pesantren too much in the eyes of government than the Salafi pesantren? Yeah, because modern pesantren is very good and suitable for the world orientation, and Salafi pesantren is God orientation. Salafi pesantren learns about just religious studies, not the general studies like in modern pesantren. So, modern pesantren is supported by the government because government needs the institution to build the world orientation. Rizda, what is the distinguishes modern pesantren and modern pesantren? Then what are the unique of characteristic of possessed by modern pesantren and traditional pesantren? You can see in the next videos because traditional and modern pesantren is very different, especially for the for using language, oral and written, and the unique characteristic is the santri from traditional pesantren has many values like berkah, blessing, like takdim, to respect to the kiais, like humble, and so on and so forth. But modern pesantren is very good in interaction, good in communication, and is very success to continue to the next university, to the foreign university, to Cairo University, to Al Azhar, and so on and so forth. But Salafiyah pesantren is very limited access to foreign university. Side art, why pesantren can say as home? Yeah, of course, because pesantren use 24-hour learning and teaching process. It likes home. Sis Kania said that in the modern era, madrasah system outperform of the public school system, especially in Indonesia. Thanks, sir. Uh, because in Indonesia, madrasah definition is the school that include Islamic values inside. So madrasah and school is same. Listiani, if the terms of regulation there is a difference, and why it now prefer boarding modern regulation there is different. Why in the now prepare many modern many many city people choose a modern boarding school because modern boarding school is very prospective to the future because traditional pesantren focus on religious studies and it's very deso, it's very rural because they focus on how to build the kiais, how to produce the next kiai. Rima Karmini, can pesantren in Indonesia match other public school? Yes, of course, because pesantren in principally pesantren is same with school, but pesantren become a public school is very hard because pesantren is not doesn't need interruption from the government. Public school must be government and pesantren must be private. So pesantren is kiais kiai center. So it's impossible to make public school. Even there are many university make pesantren to be public school. From Laras Rahmasati, there are obstacles to development of English learning in modern Islamic boarding schools, sir. Yeah, of course. Because this is the strategy how to master English, and many Islamic boarding school learn English for simple strategies. They need many efforts to grow Islam, to grow the strategy how to master English shortly in modern Islamic school. Erika Nurpatria, what are the advantages and disadvantages of modern and classic pesantren? Yeah, you can see at the last question. And Winnie Tilawa, is the pesantren teaching system in Indonesia the same as the teaching system abroad, like Egypt or Medina? Actually, it's same, but many different characteristic like takdim, like barokah, and so on and so forth. So in Egypt, for example, maktab, a dormitory is not obligatory. Yeah, like Medina, There is no dormitory. There is one subculture, yeah, subculture dormitory. But in pesantren, it must be a unit. It's many united dormitory with mosque, with kiai's home, and with santri dormitory. Well, maybe many questions, remaining question will be answered next. Thank you very much for your attention and thank you for the good question. Wallahu al muwafiq ila qawmit thoriq. Wassalamu